first, and then if you're comfortable talking about that one subject, I'd like you to get right to that. Then I'm going to read some comments from a ton of people. You okay with that?
Absolutely. The sobriety, you mean? Yeah, I'm okay talking about that.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Liz and little Leo first.
Well, it's funny you call him Little Leo because if you were around my family to this day back there in the North Country, they probably would refer to me as Little Leo to this day. Because my dad was always referred to as Big Leo. But the two most important people, my wife Liz, we're coming up on, in May will be 37 years. We've been married and over 40 years together as a couple. And then my son, Leo Joseph, who actually tomorrow will turn 35.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Yes.
When he was born with Williams syndrome. Quite a shock to both Lizzie and I. We had never heard of it. We didn't know what it was. We were living in Albany, and the doctor didn't pull any punches. He just point blank said, "I believe your son has what's called Williams syndrome." And
can you tell what exactly Williams syndrome is?
Williams syndrome is a genetic disorder. It manifests itself in the 7th chromosome. There's some similarities to Down syndrome, but Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder.
Okay.
So Williams is a genetic disorder. And there's pieces missing of the elastin gene. There's extra proteins in the elastin gene. There's a few variations in the gene. I'm not a scientist, so I only know how it affected Leo Joseph because each case is different for each child. So Leo Joseph is very low on the totem pole of severity. If you took a look at 100 Williams syndrome children, same with Down syndrome children, you can see the difference in the severity from child to child. So it's at that point in time in 1990 when he was diagnosed, there was less than 10,000 people in the world. Today there's less than 55,000, so it's kind of rare. So we were floored. We didn't know what to do at that point.
Yep. And you guys are handling it so well. You're such great parents to him, and he, as we all know, he loves you so much. Tell me the funniest story about little Leo. I mean, if you, I didn't prepare you for that question, but if something comes off your head real quick, because he's, he does so many things. He's with, he knows so many people. Tell, who has he met?
That's oh my goodness, that's a trait of like if you've been around, you know Tommy, your brother-in-law. You've been around a child with Williams syndrome, Down syndrome. It's the same. They're very social. They're very outgoing. They're very loving and kind,
honest,
and brutally honest. And so I got two. I got one that's a good one, and one that's a bad reflection of his father.
Okay, go ahead.
He was about 8 years old, and he was with Liz, and they were driving, and somebody decided to cut Liz off, and she beeped the horn, and the driver beeped the horn back, and made all kinds of hand gestures. So my 8-year-old son rolls down the window and says, "Blow it out your blank, 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 you blank, blank, blank." 8 years old. So my wife comes home, and I hear this, "Honey, come here." She begins to tell me the story. Wonder where he got that from.
Oh, yeah. You?
They
8 years old. Yes.
Oh, yeah. The good ones, he met, he works at Gillette Stadium. He works in the Putnam Club. It's a private box club for season ticket holders for football games, concerts, soccer games. And the owner of DraftKings the sports betting website,
Mm-hmm.
at his wife's 50th birthday party in Gillette on the field. The big cost about $1 million, and he worked it. And he met Dave Matthews, Robert Kraft, knows him by name. He got a letter of commendation from Mr. Kraft for something that he did with the Jacksonville Jaguars owner. I believe it was Shah Khan or something to that nature. But he ran into Maceo. That's the name. They sent me a picture. And any cheerleaders at any basketball game, he's going to get a picture with them.
Yeah, he's I haven't seen him enough, but he always cheers me up, just like Tommy did too. They're so honest. Okay, let's switch gears here and let's talk about that sensitive subject, if you don't mind. So
sobriety. It's
okay.
It's not sensitive. You know, it's you make an honest evaluation of yourself. You know, one of the questions you had on here was, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? I wished I would have been honest with myself then, but you don't know what you don't know. You know, and so I'd had 2 heart attacks, and my doctor had said, you should stop drinking alcohol. And I said, okay, no problem. So I did. And then COVID hit, and I had retired, took a buyout from AT&T, and moved on. Things were changing in the corporate world, and I wasn't too pleased with the way things were going. And so I took the buyout, and COVID hit, and I had nothing to do. And so my drinking took on a turn for the worse. And I finally realized it, and I reached out to a friend that I had that worked for me at AT&T and called him on the phone, and I knew that he had been sober for over 30 years, and I had a couple of good conversations with him. I just started to go to AA meetings, and I haven't had a drink in 2 years. That's
amazing, Leo. It really is. We have our next 2 guests just walked in, but they're not on for a while. You remember George Brendler from Shazy?
I do. The name sounds familiar, yes.
And Rob McAuliffe, who's the soccer coach at Shazy. This is Leo Ryan. You guys remember Leo Ryan? No, everyone says Leo. When I mention your name, everyone says Saranac. Everyone. Did you play at Saranac? That's not just Coach McAuliffe. It's everyone. So
because of Tom and Mike. I mean, Tom and Mike were really good players, if you remember, and they, with Butch, they started as, I think, freshmen and sophomores or something like that. So I mean, their name and their success, people think we're related. We're not, which is hard to believe, being from the same area. And that's just a word association, which is okay. I mean, they were good players.
They'll be the first to tell you that you were an outstanding player. I mean, I'm going to go on record saying you were better than both of them. And they're probably listening too. Oh yeah,
not true.
You're too humble. Okay, I'm going to start reading some comments. You want to keep talking about your sobriety, or do you want to just stop there?
Sure. Or? Normally, I'd be at a beginners meeting right now. I run a beginners meeting from 8 to 9 every Saturday morning for people just coming into sobriety, and we talk about the steps they need to take. Some of them are coming out of sober houses. Some of them are coming out of rehab and going to a sober house. And we just lay the groundwork for, what it is you need to do to stay sober. It's a simple plan. Don't drink, go to meetings, ask for help. And most people, the last one is the one they have a hard time with, asking for help. It's something you cannot do by yourself. I tried it. Doesn't work. I'll put in a plug for Alcoholics Anonymous as being, if not the best team I've been a part of, it's awful darn close, because it's like a family. Everybody's pulling for each other. And what are they pulling for? Just like a team. They want to win today. They don't want to pick up a drink just for today. That's our goal. And it's a powerful group of people, I will say that. I was blown away at the camaraderie that is in, at least for me, and where I belong, the meetings I go to. It's powerful. I go to a step meeting every Monday night. I go to a big book meeting every Wednesday night. People probably aren't familiar with those phrases. And then I have a home group, and then I'm in Area 4, which is the area I'm in, or Local 4, or Region 4. I'm the secretary.
That's great.
So I'm actively involved in helping others. That's the whole goal, is to help somebody else. Once you've achieved sobriety and you're in a good place, you need to try to help somebody else. That's the whole goal.
What, of all the people that are suffering right now that have not sought out help, what would you say to them right now? To ask for help. The phone feels like it weighs about 10,000 pounds. I mean, and it's not just with sobriety. It's with a lot of things. People, most of the time, the people that I associate with a lot are fairly younger, and they don't have very much self-esteem. They don't feel, really good about themselves. They're unsure of themselves. They're not sure where to reach out for help. And there's a lot of avenues. There's an 800 number. There's things you can look up online. You could actually go and talk to your priest. If you're Catholic, go talk to your priest. Your priest will give you advice. I've now, come back to the church and got my spirituality back, which is a big help with sobriety. Believing in something greater than yourself to help you not pick up a drink is a mantra as well that's used. So there's some things there, but it's hard for people to pick up the phone and ask for help. It's hard for them to walk into their first AA meeting. It feels insurmountable. But once they do, if they walk into a meeting, someone will greet them with a handshake and a hug and ask them what they can do to help them. It's an amazing group. There's so many people that are proud of you. They all really are. I'm going to get into some of the other questions. First of all, how did you get so good in basketball and baseball when you grew up in Standish, Willsboro, Keysville, and you also lived in the housing projects? I mean, how did you get so good? Basketball and baseball.
Well, I guess good is debatable, but I
there you go again.
Little League was the first thing I remember playing in Dannemora, and
Dannemora, you lived there too. Gosh.
Yep.
You didn't live in Chazy, did you?
No, Chazy. St. Joseph's Elementary School. We had a priest, Father Cairns, at the church in 5th grade, and I had started playing Little League the year before. I think I was 8 or 9. Excuse me. And I love baseball. My grandfather was a big Yankee fan, and every Sunday we'd watch baseball with my grandfather.
Oh, but I'm gonna stop here. We got a Red Sox fan in here. Just Coach McAuliffe is a Red Sox fan, so just wanted to say that. Any comment for that?
New York. He must not be from New York.
He must. Yeah, he's from Chazy. So I don't know how. I have no idea how he became a Red Sox fan, but.
No. But so Father Cairns started basketball, and I started to play basketball, and I enjoyed it. I liked it, and particularly shooting. And so I worked at it. And where I lived, I had a neighbor with a hoop, and I was out there shooting and just practicing. I don't really remember too much of what Father Cairns had taught us. At that point, because, he was a priest, but he loved basketball. And that's kind of where it started. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I loved being around others and practicing. And I had some natural ability. I was a good athlete. Even as a youngster, I was fast. And I could throw. I could throw hard. So I was a catcher in Little League. And most kids are afraid to be a catcher. I wasn't. And then I pitched, and then, from there just started working at it. I mean, if I could tell my 16-year-old self, I would have worked harder. But that it is what it is.
Talk about your the sectional championship game against Saranac in overtime, 5,000 people in the field house. We go overtime, and if they had a 3-point line, we would have won by 18. You had 12 points, all perimeter, all 12 points, and talk about that. What, you didn't feel any pressure?
I was too cocky and stupid to feel pressure. I didn't. In all honesty, I don't even remember being overwhelmed by the crowd, and that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
I didn't really look up in the crowd too much. The only time I looked up, I saw my dad didn't miss a game, and I always would look for my dad. And at home games, I knew where he would sit behind the bench, way up in the top. And sometimes I'd have to look for him on the road, but I looked and found my dad, and then I just went through warm-ups. And of course, I have a lot of relatives that went to Saranac, and so they were in the stands as well. But the thing about the game was, Coach would always talk to Jeff about reaching in and not trying to block shots, and lo and behold, he reached in and fouled Christian, and of course he goes to the foul line and makes the free throws. I don't know how the heck he did that.
I know it. No, you're right.
What a gutsy performance by that kid, and he's only a sophomore. Sheesh. So the precursor to the game, we had played in Mariah months before, and we were winning 60 to 59. About 10 seconds left. Joe missed a free throw, 1-and-1.
Joe Cardney,
Joe Cardney, and I got the rebound, and like a dummy, we shoot reaction jump shots every single day in practice. Instead of holding the ball and bringing it out, I shot, and I missed. Mariah comes down, and the Salerno kid hit a fadeaway bomb over Hollis, and we lost.
Hollis Chapman, that is. Again, we have Leo Ryan here. Sometimes I don't mention who we have on the radio. So let's talk about. Well, first of all, I just want to say, in many people's opinion. Oh no, the other thing I want to talk about. Talk about your games when you pitched against David Palmer and DeShays, both who played in the major leagues, and you beat them both. And Pete Proctor said that you pitched great, but I think you want to give credit to Pete Proctor too. He was your catcher, and so.
Yeah, Pete was right up there with teammates. I'll tell you that. Even though he was a rival,
Great catcher for you, though, huh?
Yep. Oh yeah, he was one. All he wanted to do was win. He didn't. He didn't care. And at first it was a frosty relationship because he went to Beekman Town, I went to PHS, and we had the brawl. But once he saw all I cared about was winning too, then we became good teammates. I don't think it was DeShays. I think it was David Palmer, and the big lefty was LaPointe.
Oh yes.
David LaPointe.
It was David LaPointe. Yep.
He got drafted by the Phillies. I think he was the 13th pick in the '76 amateur draft, and Palmer was 8th, I think, to the Expos. And they played for Glens Falls, both of them.
Did you throw junk, or did you have a fastball?
I had a fastball, but it wasn't it wasn't fast per se. But I threw a lot of curves and off-speed stuff, and he called a good game. And like Harry Demery was our coach, and Bob Garrow, Mr. Garrow was around for a little while my first year, and then it was more Gary Butler and Harry, and we just played hard. We played good defense. We pitched, and I remember, I think the only 2 hits were by Pete, and we bunted him over and got him in, and we won the game with small ball because we weren't going to get too many hits off those 2. It was unbelievable. I mean, how good they were. But these scrappy kids from the North Country we hung around.
I'm going to read some comments from a lot of people, and just make short comments. because we only have about 15 minutes left. So
Okay.
this is from Jeff Holmes. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self if you'd go back in time, and how do you feel about Ray Holmes being inducted to the New York State Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame? You answered the first one. What do you think about?
If I could go back, I wouldn't think I don't think you know everything. Be a little bit better of a listener and work harder. No question, work harder. You know, I didn't work nearly as hard as I should have. About Coach going in the Hall of Fame, it's about time.
Yes.
Everything he's done for basketball in the North Country, starting in, I believe it was in the 60s when he first came, and then even before that in Chateaugay, and establishing a culture that relied on teamwork and defense. And even the feeder program, when we were in 7th and 8th grade, he was down there working with us.
Sure was.
He was the varsity coach.
Yep.
So he established that culture and that environment right away, and that was crucial, at least when I was there, to our success.
I'm going to read some
comments. I'm very, very happy. Very happy.
We all are, yeah. Mark Lesage said to say hello, and he enjoyed playing with you with Post 20.
He was a third baseman. Played. He's from MAI, I believe.
Yep, he was. Here's a whole bunch of other comments. Let's see. This is from Neil Fassett. My question for Leo, what are his thoughts about the current state of NCAA basketball, the evolution of the transfer portal, the prevalence of guys playing 1 year of college or going straight to the NBA out of high school?
I'm glad I'm not a coach. Because even though the coaches have the ability to move, which I disagree with as well, you sign a contract, you should honor the contract. But it's hard on teams, and it's become almost individualized, where the player is more concerned about what's he going to get out of this instead of, how am I going to help my team win? That's just my opinion. But the kids should be able to move. If you move, you get one chance. That's it. Allow the player, if he wants, to transfer but once. And the fact that if you graduate and you still have eligibility, well, that rule's in existence to let you go wherever you want. But if you transfer once, that's it. I mean, and then it's got to be awful hard on the coach. Look at the ones that are leaving. Yeah, I know it. Because they don't want to deal with it. Tony Bennett, of all people.
No.
I mean, he's good for the game.
He sure is. Here's another one from Neil. Leo was a great basketball mentor for me when I was in high school and college. Leo was in his playing prime my senior year of high school and was in the gym for a lot of our practices. He challenged me and pushed me to get better. Leo is without a doubt one of the best players to come out of Section 7. He was a talented scorer from down low also, but could also score from range, which made him a tough matchup. It was a real honor for me to be able to play with Leo, and he said myself, Jeff, Steve, Tom Curl, and others as an 18-year-old high school kid. I also vaguely, this is kind of funny, but it's not bad though, I also vaguely recall Leo managed to get me into our sponsor's bar, which is called Mother's, after games. I learned some interesting lessons there too.
That's something I'm not proud of.
Okay.
Encouraging a minor.
Yep. I'm just
not good.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading these. This is from Tom Curl. I just want to say that I'm proud to call Leo a friend. He has shown he has put Leo Jr. as his priority, and for that he has my respect. That's such a nice thing.
That's kind.
Yeah. This is from Joe Cardney. Leo is a great guy, great friend, and a man he was fun to play with. Not only one of the best pure shooters I played with, but the guy was clutch. He wanted the ball at crunch time, and he delivered. It's a pleasure knowing him and playing with him and calling him a friend. That's from our buddy Joe.
Yeah, he was the best, that one.
Yep. Here's Hal Cohen. Leo is such a nice guy. I'm proud of his son and what Leo is going through. And he said he's the best corner shooter ever in the North Country. Hal Cohen.
Wow.
And he also said he remembers playing with you in the PBA and also in the Watertown tournament. He said.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's kind, but I would defer to Hal when it comes to shooting.
Yeah. Yep. This is from Dane, and it was really short. He said, "Tom, I just want you to know. Make sure you tell Leo I said hi, and he's such a class act. I always like that guy, Dane Wall. As we know, his nickname is Spock.
Still got a full head of hair.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Paul Einsman.
Best teammate, man. What a teammate.
I thought I was your best teammate. Okay, I'm just kidding. Enjoyed playing with Leo in the fellowship at Canton. You're one of the best shooters I ever played with. Please call if you're ever in the Tampa area and he wants to play golf once you get better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. This is from I read what Jeff Holmes said. This is from Al Conwell. Remember him?
I remember Big Al, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's listening, by the way.
I stay in touch with Big Al through texting. He's in Alabama, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. He's an hour different, so he's up a little early. Let's see. You asked for a comment. Here goes. Leo was a knucklehead, loved by all. He was a deadly long-range shooter and had nice hops for a skinny kid, and he did one of the most athletic dunks I've ever seen. At this time, we were only 19. I never told him that because Leo had lack of confidence in himself and as his college roommate, which is, I don't think that's true. Al, I would not have been able to live with him. Leo Ryan, knucklehead, but a great human being. Leo, first of all, when was the first time you dunked? How old were you? Because all of a sudden, you were throwing the ball off the backboard and back dunking.
The summer, my first year at Canton. When I got to Canton, I got in the weight room and started doing some things. It didn't show, but I started to do things, and the competition was better. It was different. And so I needed to get stronger, and I got in the weight room and did some things, and I really got in phenomenal shape. And all of a sudden, going up to lay the ball over the basket, I realized, wait a minute here, what's happening? And I just started to be able to jump. I know the dunk Al's referring to. We were playing in the pickup in the gym, and I just took off and cupped it and hammered one.
Wow. This is from Kevin Doherty, who played with you in high school and at Canton.
Yep. Best shooter ever, Kevin.
Yep. Wait a minute. I thought I was. No, I'm just kidding again. Okay.
Kevin's got us beat.
Okay. What was your favorite summer outdoor basketball court in the Plattsburgh area? I like that question.
That was behind the dorms at Plattsburgh State.
Really?
Yes, there was. It was about half the size of a football field. I forget the name of it, and there was one basket in particular that we played at all the time, and we would meet there. Joe, Doc, Jeff, Mosk, a bunch of others, and we would just play. And there was another court.
South Acres, probably.
South Acres, yeah. We played at South Acres in the summer league a couple of summers, but that was our favorite outdoor court. We were there all the time. I don't remember the name, what it was called now.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Maxey Hall?
Yes. Yep.
Is that what it was called in the back there?
Yeah. I got another one from Casey Flynn. I love playing with Leo Ryan. He was a great teammate and even a better human being. I consider him as the best pure shooter of the basketball I've ever played with. That's such a nice thing, Casey. Thank you for that. And we just, I'm gonna just do a couple word associations, and then we gotta.
You notice no one said anything about my passing skills.
You were a better passer than people give you credit for, so I'll give you that. So
I didn't like it. That's why I didn't do it.
I'm just going to do a few because we're running out of time. So okay. Just first thing that comes to your mind when I mention this name, Kevin Baldwin.
Probably the best teammate ever.
Wow.
Yeah, he could do anything. Kevin was, as a player, Kevin was remarkable.
Larry Bird.
Oh, he was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. My favorite, Russell Westbrook. Anything you have to say positive about him?
Maybe plays the hardest of anybody in the NBA.
I love that. Karen Fleury.
Oh, my first prom date.
Mm-hmm.
God rest her soul.
I know. Such a bad thing that happened to her. Kevin O'Neill.
Crazy.
Your parents.
My parents, Gene and Leo Francis Ryan. My parents were very loving and supportive in their own ways with regards to everything for me and my sisters.
And talk about your sisters real quickly.
Same thing, loving, supportive, and any single thing that I've ever done, my sisters have always been there with nothing but love and support. And to this day, we're still close. Mm-hmm. And, I feel very fortunate.
Jeff Holmes just sent a text. He said, I'm still waiting for Leo's first assist, which is pretty funny.
First what?
First assist.
Yeah, he wasn't getting any, that's for sure.
And I'm going to end with this one, word association. Red Lacey.
Red was one funny dude, man. He lived life to the fullest. If there wasn't anything in life he didn't like, that's for sure, other than tuna fish.
You're right. Oh, John Cronin also wrote something really, really nice too.
John Cronin, one of my freshman players at St. John's, right?
Yeah, I cannot find it. I'm sorry, but it was really nice, really nice. So and also Mark Unilovich, Iggy.
Lime Mountain.
Yeah, he said you were always one of his favorites to say hello. And parting words, Leo. Anything you want to say before we head off? You've been great, by the way, and I think you should be in the Plattsburgh High School Hall of Fame without a doubt.
No.
There you go with your being humble, but
no.
Okay.
No, that's for people who've accomplished something as a high school athlete.
Wait a minute. You accomplished by hitting every single point in overtime. That's something else, and being one of the best pitchers ever. Beating two professional players. So
I didn't beat them. Post 20 beat them.
Well, you pitched, so
I'll leave you with this. If you're someone out there and that's listening and you're struggling, ask for help.
Okay.
It may save your life because alcoholism is no joke, and it can kill you. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do, but ask for help, and I want to thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, you're great, and obviously I don't have you on here because you're a great friend, but because you deserve to be on here for being a great athlete and what you're going through now. So you take care, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're going to take a short break, folks, and we'll be right back. This is Hometown Radio, WIRY, Plattsburgh, New York.
we're back. Leo Ryan was just on the show, and he did a great job. And we have two people in our studio, arguably the two best soccer coaches, and they're both humble as well. They won't admit to it. In the North Country, in New York State even. And I'm going to snitch a little bit here. But there's a whole bunch of people that are going to nominate Coach McAuliffe, Rob McAuliffe, into the United States Hall of Fame, and for soccer, and he's deserving. As we know, it's difficult, but there's no doubt, that he'll be in there someday. It's just okay. Let me find all my questions here, and I'm sorry that I'm not the most organized person sometimes. But first, let's start with Coach Brendler. I want you to talk about Rob right now, and then Rob will end up talking about you. Okay? You're on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure where to start. I do remember a little kid that used to be a ball boy for my soccer teams, Rob. That's when he first showed up on the scene. And those days were not necessarily, I didn't know him as a soccer player. I think he was very much into, is it okay? He was not, into the playing part of it. But then as time went on, each year, of course, as you know, in sports, we have groups of kids that come up that work together. And Rob had a group that he was outstanding player with. And we're way allowed here. Anyway, Rob became an outstanding player even in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade, and he played as a varsity player in 8th grade. And
really? Wow.
Oh, yeah, yes. And I always worried about him because he was kind of on the light side, yet he liked to be very aggressive, so he got a lot of fouls, but fortunately for him, I think he got the call for him. So basically, that's how Rob came to the fore. But beyond that, when I retired, Rob was a junior, and he'd been always organizing. By the way, even then with his favorite group there, we used to call him the schemer. That's one of the things that they came back with from a soccer camp, as I recall. There's something technical here.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Sorry.
But as a result, Rob later on, when I retired, took over the team about 6 years later, and I was very pleased because I think the connection between us was very great. He was one of those special kids that I can say out of, sincere admiration for him, because he loved playing, he loved the team, the school, and it was very early on obvious that he had something special that not everyone has. We're fortunate to have had Rob as a, the coach for us, and now, of course, now he's the superintendent. So our relationship was always very good. I remember saying that I felt like a father figure at one time, not to offend John, but like he was my son. That's kind of a close feeling.
Definitely.
Because of his attitude about things. And as we used to say in Crossroads in life, we don't know which way would have gone, but it made a big difference in my life is the fact that Rob had stayed with Shazy, and we had the program that he has developed. It may not have gone that way, but Rob, that's one of the special things about him that I admire, and also can be very determined and stubborn about some of the things he's he believes in. So I'm just very, very, very pleased to have had a relationship with someone from my teams and who has gone on to great success, and I have been able to stay part of the team, so to speak. We used to have one of the kids that wasn't a player, but you remember? He played the chicken, we called him. He wore the eagle suit, and he'd yell, scream out of his voice would be, "Go say, go say." And he always wanted to come in the locker room afterwards. And we said, "You can't, you're not a player." And so he went to Mr. O'Connor and asked him, "Can I be part of the team?" But now I'm kidding, but I feel like I'm still part of the team because of Rob. And
without a doubt, you are. I mean, you have the field named after you. I mean, that doesn't happen too often. I mean, that's just because you're such a class act and you're a legend in our area for soccer. I never saw Rob play until men's league. Well, first of all, let me get back to something. Was he a good passer as well as a scorer?
Yes, that's it. That's the key. That he could handle the ball well. He played in what we call the deep lying center forward, and they distribute the ball. So yes, it's very important. In a hard worker, seeing just ahead of time, seeing where to pass. It's not where the individual is. So he was very good at that. That was, and as I say, he really developed physically, kind of as a senior and afterwards. It's one of these things that maybe was he felt bad about it, but because we used to have guys that were, you get an 18-year-old and you take a 16 or a 15-year-old, makes a big difference in how they square off against each other. So he had that as a negative thing for a while because he wasn't the fully grown yet. But no, he was very, very, very tactician, I'd say.
Yes. The first time I saw him play was in a men's league. I'd never seen him play, and I was amazed. I really was. And I thought he was the best player in the league. He distributed very well, and I was impressed. I really was. I had never seen him play. So, Rob, what do you have to say about Coach Brendler?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be saying everything that all former players of his would. I'm going to try to say whatever all our former players would want to say about him. Is that so many people say to me that, geez, you must have gotten so much soccer knowledge from George, and that is true. But really, what all of us, when I say all of us, all our former players of Coach Brendler got was he made us a better person. I can't tell you how many times in my life I think about, how he's impacted me, and not just, not in the soccer sense, but in becoming a man and becoming a better person. Often I will have get together with high school buddies. PJ Gondek, who's the head coach at Fredonia right now. Chris Kuhlman was a great player, now living in Annapolis. Adam West lives in Massachusetts. We'll all get together and we, of course, talk about the old soccer days, but we talk about George in the sense of how much he's affected us as people, not the soccer knowledge. And I think he's had such an impact upon so many people, Shazy boys in the North Country, that it's just it's remarkable. And when you talk to those former players of his, they don't talk about, he taught me this in soccer, or he taught me, this play or this, they talk about how he taught him to be. He taught us to be the attention to detail in life, how to be a leader, how to make tough decisions, how to treat other people. And so rarely, and I don't mean this in a negative way, rarely people talk about the soccer impact he had on us. But I think about it and say, would PJ Gondek be a head coach at Fredonia if it wasn't for George? The answer is probably no. Would I have been a soccer coach at Jay-Z? Probably not. Would I have been, which and then leads to would I have been the superintendent and all those things. He is, the godfather of Shazy soccer. So, but it's just way beyond that. The impact he had on so many of us is just well beyond the soccer part.
I'm going to talk to George for a little bit, and then I'll get back to you. You grew up in New York City, correct? Or that's where you were born? Or
Shall I give you
give me a little synopsis.
Oh, synopsis. Actually, my life is kind of weird to say the least. I was born in New York City.
Where'd you grow up in New York? Which Brooklyn, Bronx, where?
The island.
Oh, Staten Island?
Staten Island.
Wow.
But I didn't grow up, there. My mother and my grandfather worked in New Brunswick or Carteret, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they lived. That's the best I know. But it was during the Depression, 1934.
Mm-hmm.
I am 90 years old. 34.
Yeah.
You look 70, by the way. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
So anyway, 1934, the middle of the Depression, my grandfather was without a job. My mother was working as a maid. She was alone. So my grandfather decided to go back to Europe, to Hungary. And so I don't know how they made this decision. It was a hard decision, I'm sure. He took me to Hungary for a couple of years so my mother could get on her feet.
Wow.
11 years later, I returned. And you were asking me about, I think, my connection with soccer in Hungary. About the only thing, one time I played with a soccer ball. One time that I actually kicked the ball around. The other times we kicked a cloth ball that was tied together with string.
That's probably how you got so good.
Well, I don't know. Mental state, not the physical part. Yeah, I was very interested in soccer. So anyway, that when I came back, I had that interest because in Europe, that's all you really heard. In Hungary, they were very much into soccer, and those days they were the nationalism, the interest in sports was pushed by the state. So anyway, when I came back, there was no high school sports. Excuse me, no high school soccer. So I did end up playing on a men's league, in the German American League as in high school. But unlike Rob, I didn't have those great skills, and my size, I really wasn't a great player, but I was very interested. They needed an 11th man, actually. So most of the time, The interesting part of that was that these guys, we'd go and change in some bar down in New York City or Long Island, and out we go, and we'd play on some cinder field. It was that kind of thing. That was my high school experience. So then I went in the military. I was in the Army. And I had I was fortunate because I went to OCS. I became a lieutenant.
Officer, yep.
And then went to Germany. In Germany, the 7th Corps wanted to familiarize American soldiers with soccer. And they brought over, I think, was 6 or 8 English retired English professional players to run clinics. So we had a week of training, basic, good intensive training, and we went out. There were these, I'd say it was 6. And there'd be an officer, an enlisted man, and one of these professionals. And I had, we traveled to various cities or posts for 8 weeks, and that was quite. Well, that's why I really got into soccer, because we were teaching, and we were meeting their players on the 7th day that we'd play against the German team with the guys that we were training during the week. Now, you got to understand, though, that the military, when they're asked, well, give us some people that go play soccer. Well, of course, the ones that they were good, they wouldn't give us their good men, They'd give you the guys they didn't want. So we had
amazing.
But we did okay. So that was basically it. Then when I got back to the States, I went immediately to college, and there I played at Springfield.
Yep.
And I was on the team. I wasn't a great player again, but Springfield had been the national champ the year before, so they were really very much up there.
I'm going to say one thing real quick, and then you can go on. Sorry for interrupting, but I did ask some people how you were as a soccer player. They said he wasn't the most talented, but he had the most heart of anyone. And as we know, heart goes a long way. So sorry for that. Go ahead.
Nice to hear that. I don't really. You got to understand, Tom, that I came out of the background of fitness and physical education to the school. I wasn't like the North Country coaches, most of those guys who had been players and athletes, as Rob is, although I'm not using that as a negative. But I came with these, other skills. So that's something that should be understood, that it happened in Shazy. We were talking about crossroads, how someone shows up, and I came to fit a notch, maybe not what some other people expected, because I wasn't an athlete coach local. I was from away. I had other ideas, gymnastics, wrestling. We had swimming.
Sure.
These things were not important to some of the people that are in athletics. The big thing those days was basketball. Baseball in the fall and baseball in the spring. And basketball and soccer at that time was just for just keeping in shape.
How was Rob as a basketball player? I have to ask that question.
I don't remember that. Did you play hockey? Yeah.
I played hockey all my years, and then but there wasn't the merger with Shazy and Beekmantown. One piece that I had Gary Ryan in my living room asking me to transfer to St. John's when I was in ninth grade. And as you know, those are the teams that St. John's have were very good, so it was tempting. But I always tell people that the lure of George Brendler and Shazy soccer was going to always win out. And so I had to tell Gary Ryan, rest in peace, that I was going to stay in Shazy.
You made the right decision.
Yeah, I'm glad he did that.
Because of this guy, yeah. Coach Brendler, you were in Korea, and you went to Springfield. How did you end up at Shazy? What brought you? I mean, of all places, Shazy. And let me just say this one thing. Shazy got named from a French lieutenant de Chizy, and he was killed by the Iroquois in 1666, which is, I think you were born then, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know me. I can't believe I said that. Gosh, the nicest guy in the world. But a lot of history, but the real history in soccer about Shazy is soccer. In Shazy, I mean, it's just, you think about Shazy, you think about soccer. You don't think about this French lieutenant or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if they played soccer back those days.
But
did they play lacrosse? Well, you were asking a question. How did I? How did I end up here?
Yes.
I coached in Vermont for 4 years. And during those years, this is the early '60s, soccer was just beginning to get a foothold. I mean, nobody knew the game. They get excited, they'd see we played with a rubber ball. They were a soccer ball, but it was made out of rubber, not leather. And people would cheer when the ball went 50 yards, We had no nets for a couple of years.
Oh my gosh.
We had no nets, and we used to kick the ball in. So you see, that's how rudimentary the game was. So, well, anyway, I coached in Vermont, and then we came over because the salary was better, and I had more. I actually had, at that time, I think I had an athletic director's certification from Springfield, but really wasn't a job for athletic director those days. So anyway, that's how I ended up coming. And also, I was very, very impressed with this special building. I had initially wanted to work at a private school, That appealed to me. And this building that we had was something out of the ordinary. You know, really.
I remember.
Yeah.
I saw pictures. Were you the reason why there's a pool at Jay-Z?
No. The pool was there way back.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Miner and his 2 pools. So that was that's how I ended up here. You know, and plus the fact that I had other ventures going downstate, but they didn't. I really felt more comfortable in the small school environment. That's what it's a home. And it's been a home. You know, Shazy has been a home for us for 50 some odd years, you know.
I honestly think Shazy's the best school district around here. Just such nice people there, and that's because of people like you, really is. And do you have kids?
4 children.
Okay. I hope I don't cross anything, but is your wife still alive?
No, she's passed away 7 years ago.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. But are any of your kids play soccer?
Well, I had 3, I had 3 boys and a girl, and they all played soccer. And sometimes we had some games at the kitchen table arguing about when we get back. No, we were very much into it. And then they all went to college, and they only played intramural, club soccer. So actually Joe did some coaching because he was in the military professional for 32 years. So he coached, and I think even his wife coached soccer. But that's as far as family went with coaching.
Yeah.
Coach had mentioned that his one son, Joe, is a retired general in the Army.
Wow. That's amazing. Really is.
Yeah, 2-star general, yeah.
Yeah, not even 1-star, 2-star, which is...
Yeah. Does he ever come back to the area?
Oh, yeah. Joe comes visit regularly. He loves to climb. He did the 46s.
Man.
He did the Appalachian Trail. He did the Vermont Trail. He did the Northeast, what's it called? North Canoe Trail or something. So he comes into the area a lot.
I had Joe. I was in charge of what's called the 10% dinner. It's the dinner for the top 10% students in the whole region, and I was in charge of that, the MC of it, and I had Joe speak at it, and did an amazing job. And I had to read his bio, which was impressive to say the least. So I just thought I'd mention that.
And
pretty impressive.
And what I'm proud of. With Rob and I think we're proud of our town, but I'm proud of our school because I think all my children and other players have gone off and have succeeded despite coming from a little school. In other words, they're positive things.
Yeah.
You might miss a few things that you might get in a larger school, but
yep.
Besides a soccer program. And that's sometimes forgotten that there was more to Our parish priest one time made this comment and off the the talkie,
the altar,
not the altar, but pedestal, whatever. That there's more to school, more to Shazy than soccer. This is the priest. In other words, there was more to, which kind of bothered me at the time because we were in the middle of playing sectionals, whatever.
You must know Fuzzy Facette. His wife taught at Shazy.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Judy and I we worked
She's
together.
such a nice person.
Yeah.
She is, yeah.
And
how could she last with Fuzzy? I'm just kidding. Fuzzy, if you're listening, I love him.
No, he and I, he of course he was a coach, so I got to know him that way. We never competed against each other, but we skied together.
Okay.
Fuzzy and I skied a few, not many times, but a few times we went. He was quite the skier,
yes,
quite the coach.
Good, yes.
Yeah. And others have mentioned they were very pleased to have him as a coach.
Yep.
And he was an interesting guy. He did helicopter skiing. He went to New Hampshire to this special. There's one ravine there that he went. He like an athlete. He wanted to do everything. So I knew him.
I visit him quite often. I'm going to go to Rob here. First of all, let me talk about some of his accolades. 10 state championships. Amazing. 10. And counting. A 907 winning percentage. That's off the charts. Those are two things that will get him, in my opinion, in the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. Just you don't see that too often. What was the toughest year? The toughest when you went to the state championship? The when you won it, the obstacles that you had to win it. Was there one year that you might remember?
Yeah, it has to be the first year. I think so. That was our first year we won. It was in 2004, and I think so many of the years prior to that, we were the kids nowadays wouldn't understand this connection, but we were the Buffalo Bills of. Of New York State boys soccer, that we were always so close, getting to state championships, losing in heartbreakers, losing the year before a really good team in 2003 that we lost in the state semifinals in sudden death overtime, where we outshot the team, like 24-3 and lost, 1-0. So in 2004, I think the most memorable state championship, because it was the first one. In 2003, when we lost in the state semifinals, it was the first time I remember going home and talking to my wife and saying, "I'm not sure it's ever going to happen." And I was a very confident, person and coach, and felt confident in my players and my own abilities. That was the only time that I kind of started to question whether it would ever happen. And so to win it in 2004, I think the obstacle and the difficulty of just winning it for the first time, and then I think after we won in 2004, it kind of had this feeling like, all right, we can do this now. We can win it.
I gotta interject here because 2004, like Rob said, it looked like we'd never win. So I don't remember why, but at the time I did not go down to Middletown.
2004 was in Oneonta.
Oneonta. So I get a call from Howard Congleton, my neighbor. He said, "George," he said, "you got to come down here. The guys just won. They just won. I think they're in the finals tomorrow." Yeah. And Lewis broke his leg.
Yeah, Corey Lewis.
Corey did?
Yeah. So the top player breaks his leg. I go down there, and Robbie's wife is sitting there expecting to deliver a baby. So you talk about pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's a really good story.
Yeah, in 2004, the semifinal, Corey Lewis broke his leg in the semifinal game, and I remember thinking, there it goes.
Yeah.
But I give a lot of credit to that team. So he broke his leg. I'll make it quick. We had dinner that night. And I remember walking into the Italian restaurant in Oneonta, Mama Nina's, which I used to go to as a kid, and seeing my team not hold their heads down, that their best player, and I jokingly said this, and Corey, I love Corey, but we may have won it because he was not there. I think it was almost one of those things that
everyone stepped up.
Yeah, it was one of those feelings like, okay, everyone's got to do something different and special today, the next day to win it. Without Corey, and so as much as he was an amazing player, I've often wondered if we would have won it if he was healthy, because everyone just played, at another level the next day.
I think Corey probably would have thought about playing with a broken leg.
Oh,
He's such a tough son of a gun. He really was.
Yeah, great.
I like
player.
Corey a lot.
Me too.
Well, by the way, you asked about Rob, where he went to school.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I looked it up. I couldn't find.
Yeah, I graduated from Oneonta, played soccer at Oneonta.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great place. So
yes.
So for me to play there, and then a bunch of years later, win our first state championship in Oneonta was a special moment for me. Yeah.
Did Oneonta ever win the Suniacs? Or
so when I played there, we were Division I.
Really?
Yeah. So we obviously didn't play in the
Yes.
SUNYAC, and so
I didn't know that.
And then so I graduated in '94. So I don't know, maybe 10 years later they moved to 10. I don't know. I'm off on the number probably, but 10 years later or so the cost became too prohibitive really to stay Division I, and so they moved to Division III. And then Hartwick, who at the time Hartwick was also Division I. So we were
same town,
big rivals across the street from each other, and we'd play each other each year. So that was always the biggest game of the year. When we
Who would
Hartwick.
win that usually?
Hartwick usually would win, to be honest. And so, but then they moved, and so it was almost like they did it together. They moved to Division III a few years after that too.
Go ahead.
You talked about Corey Lewis. I can't let this pass. I see Corey Lewis on Facebook, and he's been in Germany, I don't know how long, and he's playing basketball somewhere.
Very good basketball player.
He is. Yep.
I'll never forget the technical foul I gave on him I can't believe I gave him a tee. He just was frustrated, and he lifted up his shirt, and that was the first year that they had that rule. Oh. And after I gave him a tee, I said, "Why did I do that? The poor guy, And I think
it's funny what we remember, right?
Brian Norcross was giving me the heat a little bit. Lace, come on here, and he's right. So, Brian, if you're listening, and Corey, sorry about that. Gosh. You might listen to because our shows are on YouTube after, they can listen to them if they don't listen now. Because a lot of people, it's the Wiry app, you can hear it all over the world if you want to, if they want to get it. I'm going to just do, to both of you, we're going to change the subject from high school. In your opinion, I'll go to Rob first, the top 3 soccer players in the world ever, in order.
Yeah, well, Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm a big Manchester United fan, so Cristiano Ronaldo is number 1 for me.
Okay.
If I went by just ability or if I went by my heart, there's kind of 2 different lists, but Cristiano Ronaldo is 1.
Okay.
As much as I don't want to admit it, being a Ronaldo fan, that Messi is probably 2, and then Zinedine Zidane is probably 3, but
okay.
My Man United list is probably Cristiano Ronaldo, and then Roy Keane, and I love David Beckham too.
Yes.
So that's my list.
Coach?
Oh, well, naturally, Pele was the first guy.
Yeah.
So, for me, coming from the earlier years, Pele was I was the biggest fan. But I've got to tell you that other than individuals, I have to put this plug in that we forget that soccer really was very popular with the Italians during the pre-war days. The Italians won 3 World Cups. So I remember that, I don't have any specific individual, but that was a big thing for soccer.
Sure.
And then followed up that people don't realize that I have to plug as a Hungarian. I didn't know this because I was back here, but 1950s, they called them the Magnificent Hungarians. They beat England something like 8-1.
Wow!
Or, they had changed the formations, and they had a couple of guys, and it always sticks in my mind. The first person I remember was Puskás.
Okay.
And Hidekuti. These are names that stuck in my mind. So they're just heroes for that reason because they're Hungarians. But the first guy besides Pele, I agree with you, was
Cristiano.
And I'd say probably Messi.
Messi, okay.
And I put Maradona in there too.
Yes.
Yeah. There are other ones, but these are. I don't follow professional soccer as much as Rob. I went to Rob's house, and he's got the TV on and the soccer game going on.
He doesn't have the Knicks game on the side?
No.
It's like when I go to my son-in-law up in Saranac, I go in there, and either it's a football game going on or it's a car race. But Rob's, it's soccer.
Yeah.
Real quickly, Rob, Bills or Baltimore tonight?
I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm definitely going Bills on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Marte or Mia Hamm, who's better?
Mia Hamm, obviously she married a really great guy. And
a Red Sox, by the way.
No Mark Garcia Parra, but I would have picked Mia Hamm anyway. Yeah, I like Mia Hamm.
Do you know either of them? Or?
Mia, excuse me, I'll get closer here. Mia, I admired her. She was there was a personality thing about that.
Yeah.
I saw her as a real individual, So
she was dating Derek Jeter prior to Nomar.
Then she smartened up.
Have either of you ever been to the World Cup?
No.
I did go in '94. I went to Boston, and I saw Spain and Italy in the quarterfinals, and it was
crazy, huh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Did you guys? And
I had some of my players go, and it really surprised me. Timmy Ryan. By the way, this is another Ryan.
I remember him. He was a tough player.
He's a character. Timmy is Timmy. In fact, I was just talking with his son yesterday, and they do wonders. By the way, in Shazy,
the whole family does,
he's had this Happy Pike organization that really turned into hundreds of people attending, and then they did what's the candy cane lane. Anyway, so Tim, but anyway, he said, "Hey, coach, we went down to Boston and we saw Argentina play." I said, "Holy Jesus!" I didn't consider going because I figured it'd be so crowded. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I missed. But I'm that way anyway. I guess it's. I don't like to go to big crowds and worry about the parking lot and all that. That's a negative on my part.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot right now, and you don't even have to answer this, but I have to ask because I like both these guys. Who is better, PJ or Chris?
Oh, jeez.
They're going to listen eventually. You don't have to answer it, honestly. I just want to kid around.
In terms of soccer?
Yeah.
They're great people. Both
I know it.
I would say Chris, in my time, Chris by a long shot was like Rob.
Yes.
He had very, very good skills and
excellent basketball player too.
Yeah, very underrated basketball player. Very good.
PJ was great because he was left-footed, and we didn't have too many left-footers. And I don't PJ. Forgive me, but Chris was at that time to me the better soccer player.
Rob, you don't have to answer.
Both guys were in my wedding, so I gotta take the fifth on that one, I think. But,
I
like both of them.
Great people.
I coached PJ at a camp once, and when he was really young, what a nice, very good passer. I remember. Yeah. So and I'm gonna end real soon here. You guys watched the Summer Olympics, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Who is of all athletes, who is your MVP of all those Olympics?
So, oddly enough, my daughter also got really into track and field. So prior to her, I watched the Olympics and watched the track and field stuff. But then obviously in this last Olympics, I became very, involved in the track and field stuff. I felt really bad for Noah Lyles. He won the gold and then got COVID, and so Noah Lyles is one that I would pick. Sydney McLaughlin.
There you go. That's who I would pick, by the way.
Yeah, Sydney McLaughlin probably be the one. If you had to force me to pick one person, that'd probably be Sydney McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Gabby Thomas too, but my daughter says that I just think she's pretty, so that's why I picked Gabby Thomas. So if she's listening, that's what she's thinking right now. Yeah, well, of course, Dad, what she thinks.
Yeah, is pretty. Ava still at Iona?
She is. Yeah,
nice.
She's doing well, and she's
good to hear.
Run a couple track meets, and she ran one yesterday, and she, finished 5th out of 71 runners in the 200. And
unbelievable.
So, yeah, and so she's doing well. She's got a meet. For Columbia, she had a Rutgers meet a couple weeks ago, and then a Columbia meet next weekend, and so I think I'm going down for the Columbia one. So
did she remember the fun runs they used to have when they're really young? Did she go to those?
She did go to a few. She was so competitive. She either had to win them or she didn't want to run
them. I know.
So
you know what? Because
she was. I wonder where she got that from. But
my daughter would be in them, and she would sometimes win.
Yeah.
But when I saw Ava come, wasn't even close. Wasn't even close.
She's a
Coach,
very, very competitive girl. Yeah.
You're MVP of the Summer Olympics.
Yeah. I can't get the name because I don't remember names or they don't come back. I think it's not the age so much as I've always had that problem with the name, but it's the gymnast that
yes,
all around. I mean, because I was interested in gymnastics, and I appreciate the effort that these people do and the ability, especially you got to understand, I was interested, but I wasn't great at gymnastics. I had trouble doing I could do a back flip or a front flip off a diving board, but not on the floor. And this gal just impressed me.
I know.
What's the name?
I forget her. I'm forgetting her name too.
Yeah. I can't remember either.
She came back.
Yeah, we all. Everyone remembers that's listening, other than the three of us.
Yeah. But the other thing is that she's
Chris,
20 some odd years old.
Yeah.
This is unheard of. Used to be all, youngsters would be their gymnasts and then they fade.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And we're going to end up here. Jim Barron just texted me. He said, one word for both of them, respect.
Oh, that's nice. Jim's a great guy.
Nice.
Yeah, he is. And it's true. Okay, we're going to end by each of you getting any last parting comments at all. Coach, you go first.
Well, Tom, one of the things that I prided myself on and trying to forward the program, do things, publicity was always important. And I think that the sport has grown a long ways from my days, and we hope to continue it. And things like you're doing right here are great, that we have an opportunity to keep it in the forefront. Yeah. Now, of course, unlike in my days where the seasons where people didn't play soccer during the year, now their kids are playing all the time. But I think having us up, thank you very much.
Simone Biles.
It was Simone Biles.
Simone Biles.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
You had a listener call.
Coach McAuliffe?
Thanks, Tom, for having Coach and I on. But I guess the only thing I would say is that I just appreciate, George so much. And, I get way too much credit for the success of our, soccer program. But it was really George who, got the program to where it was. And, and then Tom Tregan after him. And then, then I took over, and but a lot of great people who make the program go. A lot of great assistant coaches I've had. Tom Brendler was one guy I want to mention too. Yeah. A bunch of other great people, that helped the program grow. And also, just people like my wife and two kids who often didn't see their dad for the fall. But so when you have a successful program, it's a lot of people who make it happen.
Well, I've got to add finally that I think from my perspective, I used to say, I use this term, General MacArthur said, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. And I think because of Rob, I as an old coach didn't fade away. I still feel very much part of the game and part of the team. And that's been a greatest part of my life. In other words, we retire and you figure you have 20 years for retirement. Well, I've been retired 30 some odd years. And
you look great, Coach. You really do.
He does. Yeah.
Gosh. How was I going to end it? Wiry named, I don't know if you know this, they named the top 15 athletes of 2024, and there were two soccer players from Shazy that made it. I might have had them mixed up a little bit on who was higher, but one was Maddox.
Tyndall.
And the other one was Landon
Dupree. Yeah, great players.
So they both made the top 15 2024 Section 7 athletes.
I heard you. I was listening to the program.
Yeah.
And Landon Dupree, I would say that I balanced those two more. But that was good that you mentioned them with all the different ones in the section.
You have to have Shazy soccer players in there. Guys, thank you so much.
No,
I really
Tom.
appreciate you guys coming in here, and good luck. And we're not done with it's going to be more than 10. We know that, right?
I hope so.
And good luck to you, and continue that refereeing, and don't wear glasses though, because then
Okay. All right, you guys take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good.